All right, so everyone is aware that the Model 3 Performance is a huge value, but this is a Taycan Turbo Cross Turismo. It's a 2021, and it costs $154,000. This specific spec in chalk with the wheels and everything else that we will talk about is $199,000. So 4 times the cost of a Model 3 Performance. And the question we will answer today is it worth 4 times? But also, the depreciation on these is insane. This specific Taycan depreciated by 50% after only 3 years. So the owner of this got it for $100,000. I purchased this Model 3 for $54,990. It's been excellent, and today we are going to compare them. We're going to do a 0 to 60 run on this thing to see what we can get out of it. And I'm going to inform you what you're missing out on by getting a Model 3 over the Taycan, or is the Taycan actually worth it in the depreciation market? Because you can get these in the 40s, 50s, and $60,000 range, and you can get the Cross Turismo, the wagon, which is what we have today, which is really cool. You can get that for around the $60,000 price point for one of the non-top-of-the-line models. So here's some of the specs on the Taycan that get it to this crazy price point. So this one starts at $153,500, and the first option is the color chalk, which is $3,150. It also has rear axle steering, which feels incredible. We'll talk about that when we drive. The wheels being painted in high gloss black is $1,290. It has the Porsche Dynamic Chassis Control Sport Package, which is $3,500. It has the off-road package, which is $2,100. The wheels are $3,500. Sport Chrono, $2,440. The Burmester 3D high-end surround sound system, $5,810. It also came with 3 years of 30-minute DC charging sessions with Electrify America, but I'm sure the person never actually used that. So the first thing that we're going to miss out on here, and the Model S would obviously be a much closer comparison, a bit more direct comparison between these two, but the reason I'm showing them is because to show the value of the Model 3 is incredible. Now the first thing is this has an air suspension on it. It's also a GPS-based air suspension, so when I come to my house or the owner of this comes to his house, there's a high curb, so the car automatically raises up to make sure it easily clears the lip. So that's really nice. It also has the Porsche ceramic coated brakes on this thing. So I just washed it before we did this video, and there wasn't even that much brake dust, and it hadn't been washed in a while. So that is something that's really cool. Something that's also unique to how Porsche views their recuperation system. So normally in a electric car, when you let off the gas and you feel that regenerative braking, that automatic braking the car has to put energy back in the battery, Porsche actually puts it through the braking system. So when you hit the brakes, that is taking that energy and putting it back into the battery. Personally, I like the regenerative braking to where when you let off, it does it automatically, but that is how they do it. The door handles are kind of the self-presenting where they pop out like this. It's actually kind of a nice way that they do that. And another funny feature that this thing has is this one is actually optioned with the fire extinguisher, which is hilarious. And these also have the Race Tech seats, and I didn't think that they would be cooled, but they are cooled seats. A lot of times cooled seats have the perforated leather or Alcantara or something like that, so it's actually impressive that these are heated and cooled. Now it does also have a fully panoramic glass roof. Again, that is an option, but we need to take a look at the rear seats. What is the seating room like back there? So we'll sit in the front here, pretty comfortable seating position there. Let's go sit in the back. Yeah, the back is tight, but it is amazing how far down you sit. So it is a little tight. Your feet, you get like kind of dumped into this wheel well here. Not bad, but again, for an electric vehicle, they still have this like drivetrain tunnel here, which kind of makes no sense to me. This should be a flat floor, should open up space. That's how the Model 3 is. And it would just give the passengers more space back here. It's also crazy how huge these seats are in front of you. So for 4 people, again, this is only a 4-seater, you would be fine. You'd be fine. Let's go check out the trunk. And to open the trunk, you press this button down here, and it opens up. And the trunk is a solid space. Again, it's a hatchback, so you can fold these down and have an insane amount of space. So it's good. You could fit your golf clubs in easily. You could easily carry around 4 people. I think it's pretty solid. But overall, just the hatchback look of this thing, the wagon, is so cool and so unique. And the other thing is, like with a Porsche, you're laying in bed at night thinking, did I put the right seatbelt color on? What trim should I get? Should I get the ionizer? How should the finish on the wheels be? There's so much more customization to this. That's a lot of the reason why it costs so much more. With the Tesla, you're like, interior color, exterior color. Order. That's it. So they're just streamlining cars out where Porsche just wants to deliver something that's unique and exactly what you want it to be. The other thing we need to check out is the Frunk. Let's compare the Frunk on both of these. So both the Frunk on the Model 3 and the Taycan have an automatic release, but they are not automatic up and down. So kind of open them up, and this one's actually locked in to that huge space there. So they do both have Frunks, and they're probably about the same volume. The Model 3 is a little more shallow but wider. This is much deeper but a little tighter. So overall, they do both have storage space up there to keep your charging cables or keep things that get dirty if you're doing something outdoorsy. So they do both have Frunk space, which is a sign of, in my opinion, a sign of good engineering on an EV, because there's no engine. There's no reason to have stuff going all through here. So first we are going to drive the Taycan, and I want to show you something right off the bat. There is a start-stop button here. So you have a power button here, and when you get in the vehicle, you don't have to press that to turn it on. So that's good. But when you get out of the vehicle, you do have to hold this down to turn it off. Otherwise, it just sits here and runs. The other thing that's interesting is to get it in gear, you have this lever right here. Probably reminds me of what they have on like a 911 where you click it, or a Golf R where you click it into place. You have that up here. So you just press it up like that or press it down. And then to get it into park, you hit that button right there. And I just feel like it's kind of a weird placement for it. And also the park button just feels kind of cheap. Again, you can be picky about this stuff because these are such expensive vehicles. Kind of a weird location, but you do get used to it very quickly. Another interesting thing is the display here. So normally if you tap a display, it'll change, but this actually you have to press into it and it gives you haptic feedback to turn things on. So you won't accidentally tap something on here. So that's maybe actually a good thing. And that's probably the reason they did it, but it's also kind of annoying to have to press into a screen. Now this screen up here is different. If you just tap on it, it will go to those certain screens. You don't have to put a ton of pressure on like you do on this base screen. So that was probably purposefully done. So here's kind of the look from the cockpit. So now we're going to take this for a drive, and then we'll end the video by taking the Model 3 for a drive to see what we think of the two, driving them back to back. All right, so I did a 0 to 60 run in the Taycan and got 3.51 seconds. And I use the device, it's called the Draggy device. They're like 179 bucks. I have a discount for them in the description. I'm not sponsored by them. They just have an affiliate program that literally anyone can use. So I'll have that linked in the description, but you can do quarter mile times, 0 to 60 times, and all that stuff. So I can accurately record it. I just go to a remote location in Mexico and record and do that. So 3.51 seconds is what I got to 60. This is having a little bit of trouble getting the power down because this is a summer high performance tire and they're not warm. So even with 305s in the back, it just can't really get it down. My Model 3 Performance, I was getting 3.17 seconds, so 0.4 faster in the Model 3 Performance with the all-season tires. It would be fun to line these two up and go back-to-back multiple times to see which one would win. But now the performance of the Taycan is crazy, but it's also a comfortable, you could easily daily drive this. I would look to one with smaller diameter, more range efficient wheels. These ones, first of all, are a huge pain to clean. And then second of all, they're just very inefficient because they're staggered. The rears are so wide. But if you're going to be taking it to the track or like doing canyon runs, which I really doubt that many people are, you just don't need these wide of tires, but they do look good. The interior in here, this compared to the Tesla, a lot of people just like having a screen in front of them. And again, think about the depreciation. This comes down into the same price point. Having the screen in front of you here, it is nice because it's a well done display and you can customize what each of these dials say. You have your controls here on the air suspension, and you also have this diamond button, which you can set up to do various things. That might take you into Sport Plus, that might put you into range mode. You can tune that button just like you can tune the dial in the Model 3 to do exactly what you want it to do. So that's cool. The regenerative braking on the brakes is cool. It's interesting. I'm curious. I don't know which one's more effective, but that's just Porsche's take on it. So that's interesting. And these are carbon ceramic coated brakes. It's interesting. Everyone just blew a red light. And it really does seem to reduce the brake dust. You can hear it change gears. It's so interesting here. It's a 2-speed transmission in this thing, and you can actually hear it change gears. Now, I'm in Sport Plus, the most aggressive mode, but I do have the suspension set to a softer setting. And it still rides really nice. It's firm, and the steering is heavy in this mode. So you feel really connected. The car is sitting low, but I have the suspension in the comfort setting with the heavier steering weight, and then the throttle response and performance of the vehicle is at a maximum. I think what I'm shocked about most driving this is how loud it is on the cabin, just because of what the tires are and having hard sidewalls. There's just really no forgiveness there. So that is shocking. But the steering wheel having Alcantara on it is very nice. The infotainment system, it does have Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and you know how people are about that. That's what they want, and this offers it. Now, what you're looking at as far as deficiencies go on the vehicle is you're gonna have nowhere near Tesla's capability in terms of software updates. That car, my Model 3, is going to continue to get better over time, whereas this basically is what it is. It's not going to change very much with any updates they have. And if there are any updates, there's a good chance you're gonna have to take it into the dealership so they can make those work. But like I've said in other videos, this is a unique experience. Not many people are gonna have a chalk Taycan Turbo Cross Turismo driving around. It's gonna be really special to be driving this around. You're not going to see very many of them, and it's hard to spec one the same as another. Whereas Tesla, there's only so many colors, there's 2 interior choices, and that's pretty much it. And there's some wheel choices. So it's all very limited because they're making a cost-effective, high-performance option. But overall, the Taycan's very comfortable. The Burmester sound system in this is $5,000, and I would never pay $5,000 for a sound system. I would pay maybe $1,000 for the Bose upgraded sound system. I will say, though, the one Volvo I drove that had a Burmester system in it was the best sound system I have ever heard in my life. So if music is very important to you and you like to hear absolutely everything, this sound system does that. It's remarkable how accurate it is, and it just covers it through any song you're going through. You even hear things that you wouldn't hear unless you have noise canceling headphones. So that is really good. I actually like that it has a 2-speed transmission in it. It adds some I don't know, it adds something special to it. I like the sounds that are made in the vehicle because they're actually well tuned. It's not like they're trying to make a fake exhaust sound like Dodge did with their Charger. That's kind of ridiculous. This actually adds to the experience of driving the vehicle, and it can be turned off and it's amplified in different modes. So I'm in Sport Plus, so when I floor it, you can actually hear it. And man, this thing just rips. It's just so satisfying to drive on a daily basis. If you were to ask me, hey, what would you rather have, this or a Panamera? I'm taking this for a daily driver. Very little maintenance on it. It just costs way less to run and the performance is better. That's just what makes sense to me. And then plug-in hybrids, I don't know. I just feel like you're taking the worst of both worlds. You have the maintenance of a gas car, and then you have the charging of an electric car, and you got to do both to it. So I feel like it's kind of like pick one or the other. This, if you're comparing it to the Panamera, I would say go with this for the daily driving. So now that we've covered the Taycan, let's jump in the Model 3 and see what I feel driving that right after driving this Taycan. Back in the Model 3 Performance, and you forget how stripped out these vehicles are and how minimalistic they are until you go and drive something else like a Taycan, which is the total opposite, has buttons and things everywhere. So you feel like you have less in here. You feel like your insecurities are more exposed in here because you don't have any sport button that you can change. You just have this little button over here where you can dial it in. So My insecurities feel more open in the Model 3. I also feel the Model 3 feels like more of a go-kart. And again, I know the Model 3 isn't the best comparison to the Taycan, but I'm just showing the value of the Model 3. And I actually, as good as the drivetrain is in the Taycan, I didn't think I would say this, but the Taycan's drivetrain isn't as sharp. It's amazing how well Tesla has tuned the throttle on their electric vehicles. Now, they've only ever made of electric vehicles. That's all they've ever had to tune. Whereas Porsche had to go and figure out how to make an electric vehicle and then how to make an electric vehicle good. So that's a big difference. But it's amazing how sharp just the responsiveness of this thing is. And then it has 3 different drive modes. So chill, standard, and then insane mode. I mean, it's crazy. We should all be thankful. Us poors who can't afford a $200,000 car should be thankful that the Model 3 exists, because you can get supercar acceleration and performance, because it will go around a track fast too. Some people think that like Teslas don't handle. These can hang with GT3s on a track. Not for long because, you know, the longevity of the battery and that stuff and overheating. But they can accelerate and last with the best of them. And we should be thankful that these exist, because starting at 54 and then it depreciates after that, these will, in 4 years, these will be in the low 30s. And the old Model 3s are in the low 30s. So be thankful that this exists, because a lot more people will be able to experience this speed, and it's remarkable. And then you can switch the drive mode and have a car that's very efficient, and by switching the wheels and tires like I did, you can get 340 miles of range out of this thing. And the older Teslas didn't hit their range numbers. The newer ones with the tighter EPA standards are hitting their range numbers. So the big difference between the both of them, because a lot of people who drive Teslas could potentially afford to get into a Taycan. I don't think it's worth it to stretch to get into that. I would rather be in a Model S or something. You know, the Taycan coming into the $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 range is going to be a stripped out version. It's not going to be as cool as that Taycan Turbo I was driving. But I think the long-term owner's experience would be better in a Tesla, simply because of the software updates that are happening. I can see that guy walking up on me there. I just think long-term you'll be happier. And it's not like I'm some Tesla blowhard and it's Elon does all good and all that. That's not me, okay? I've been making YouTube videos for 14 years. The minority of my videos are on Teslas. That's what I'm making. Tesla, Rivian, you know, electric vehicles are just popular right now, so I'm making videos on them. If I were you, the Porsche that I'd be getting would be a 718. It would be a Boxster, nice Rivian R1S there, hell yeah. It would be a 911. It would be the Macan. I would just get a gas powered one. You know, I haven't driven the Macan EV yet, but just by the looks of it, I would rather be driving the gas one. I owned a Macan S and I absolutely loved it, because they just make great vehicles. And I just think when you're looking to electric vehicles, Porsche does a great job, but they're not dedicated to making electric vehicles like Rivian, Lucid, and Tesla. So that's my advice to you. With that said, if you're like, I just want a Porsche, you're going to absolutely love the Taycan. You're going to love driving it. Just know that what you buy is what you're going to have through the rest of that ownership experience. And you just have a lot of the issues that traditional companies have. It's not a very futuristic vehicle in the sense that they could be leveraging software in better ways. And imagine if you could get updates from Porsche saying, hey, we updated your suspension like I did in my Rivian. Rivian sent me an update. They retuned the suspension and added an additional suspension mode. And, you know, Porsche is not going to do that. I don't know that they even have that capability unless you take it into the dealership. So that's just what to consider. The other thing we can't forget is this Model 3 can drive itself. I'm currently taking it to a charger to see if it will actually back me into that charger. But that's another feature that, you know, the Taycan does not have, and this is continually updating to make it better and better and better. And actually the biggest use case, I've not been like a full self-driving, I don't know, advocate. I'm an advocate. I hope it works, but I'm not been like, this is the end of drive. You know, like people are like, this will save America. And it's like, it's just, no, it won't. I think full self-driving is really cool. The big use case for it is for as you're getting older, you may not be comfortable driving at night. You may not be comfortable driving in new cities, all that type of stuff. And full self-driving gives you the autonomy to still drive and be in your own vehicle without having to use some sort of taxi service. So that is what I see as the huge value in it. So I'm curious to see if it will actually take me to this charger and back me in. So we'll just, we'll cut to that footage. I currently have it targeted to a charger that's right by me. All right, so navigates the intersection there without any collisions. You even noticed that wheel turned a little left before we turned right to avoid any curbs. That lady, hey, whatever you need. Isn't it amazing how many women are so small that they can't even like see up over the wheel of a compact vehicle? It's crazy. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not one of those people who's going to be like, can your car drive itself? All right, let's see here. All right, the car was just put into park. Okay, so it won't actually go into the spot, but I can choose this, start, and then the car will go ahead and park itself in the spot. So that's cool too. I'm sure in the future they will update it to where it'll take you to an open stall and then you can just back in and charge your vehicle. So, but for the most part, you know, I mean, you just sit here and tap a button and it will put you into the charging bay. And again, if you're not comfortable backing into spaces, the car can do it for you. So just another feature, worth pointing out. I just added 40 miles of range to this Tesla Model 3 Performance, so click this video right here to check that out. It's kind of shocking what you can do to change these vehicles just by changing your wheels and tires.